If you've been thinking, what should I do next in my career? Pause for a hot second because I want you to answer the real question, which is why are you doing anything at all? That might sound really, really crazy, but stick with me. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about why career strategy by itself just is not enough. Even smart plans, even like really well thought out 5-year visions, when things get hard, unclear, or slower than you expected, which happens all the time, strategy alone is going to rarely hold unless it's rooted in meaning. Now, don't get me wrong. I love vision boards. I love planning, as you probably could tell, and I love action steps, and I use them all the time. But today, we're going to look at what needs to come before the plan, the part that gives your decisions real weight and direction, and it helps you stay steady when the path changes. So if you're feeling stuck, second guessing your next move, or just exhausted by trying to plan your way forward in your career, this episode is for you. Hi, I'm Laverne McKinnon, and welcome to the Moonshot Mentor community. If you're navigating a career transition, whether you're stepping up or getting started or making a pivot, I promise you, you are in the right place because I'm a career strategist and a grief coach. So I love to help people going through any type of career change sort through any of that noise spiritually, strategically, and tactically. And that's what we're going to get into today so that you can make moves that actually feel aligned. Now, remember, there's never any need to go it alone because we can find your next move together. And if you enjoy this episode, remember to subscribe for more weekly posts because I'm going to cover all kinds of career moves. Let's jump in. The way I think about career momentum is pretty simple. There are 3 layers that need to work together: the spiritual foundation, a strategic plan, and clear tactics. When your foundation is missing, even the most thorough approach strategically, it can start to crumble. It reminds me of this one time when I said yes to going to Disneyland. Now, I'd never been. I was mildly curious, but I didn't really think about what I wanted from the experience. And then once we got there, oh my gosh, the parking was wildly expensive. The lines were ginormous and the food, it was not appealing to me at all. And honestly, I just wanted to bolt, not because Disneyland was bad, but because I hadn't chosen it for myself. I said yes out of people pleasing, not purpose. Careers work the same way. In your career, that foundation, it has to come first because that's where your values and your purpose live. Then comes strategy. Strategy is the roadmap. And then we get to tactics and action steps. Let's take a closer look at each one, starting with what I consider to be the most important, your spiritual foundation. So you can have a very clear vision for your career and still feel wobbly if that vision isn't rooted in your values and purpose. When the foundation is borrowed or assumed rather than closely examined, it's hard to stay committed once the path gets complicated. And we always know complications happen. It's just part of life. Now, that's what happened with Molly. Molly grew up in a family of journalists, and her parents and grandparents worked in newsrooms, and they would have these family dinners that revolved around media and politics and what was happening in the world. Now, continuing the legacy felt really natural to Molly, and it was expected really by her parents and her grandparents. So she built a strategic plan, earned a journalism degree from a prestigious university, land a regional reporting job with the intention of working her way up the ladder. And as she worked her way up the ladder, just take the best promotions, regardless of where they were geographically. On paper, everything made sense. But after Molly graduated, she struggled mightily. She could not find her footing. And every rejection, man, it just was like hitting her so hard in the gut. Now, these rejections, they weren't necessarily because she wasn't talented, but because her career direction was built on her parents' values, not her own. And journalism is so competitive. The people that were hiring her, they could like sniff it out. It takes a level of commitment that goes so far beyond. And now this is what had happened is that Molly had never really paused long enough to ask what mattered to her or what kind of work gave her energy and really like made her heart pitter patter. So when she inevitably hit bumps along the way, She had nothing to anchor her and to help her move forward because she didn't know her why. Without a spiritual foundation, there's no reason to push through discomfort. When there's no internal compass, we just fall to the pressure that's around us from family expectations or from our community or from even what our friends and colleagues are doing. So, this is why a spiritual foundation is so critical. It really, really matters. It gives you the why that belongs to you, not one that you've inherited. Now, when you understand your values and purpose, you're going to be better equipped to weather uncertainty, make clear decisions, and course correct without spiraling. Your spiritual foundation, it won't prevent any setbacks. Those are inevitable, but they are going to help you stay rooted with what's most important to you when those setbacks show up. Now, for Molly, once she slowed down enough to look honestly at her values, something became super clear for her. She actually did not dislike writing. She disliked the version of writing that she had inherited. And so what actually lit her up and make her heart pitter patter was storytelling, imagination, world building. Molly loved working independently and on her own terms. Her purpose wasn't about preserving a family legacy. It was about creating a body of work that created a community of like minded people who loved her kind of fantasy storytelling. Now, that clarity changed everything, not overnight, but pretty quickly. Instead of forcing herself to fit into a career that looked good on paper, she began shaping one that aligned with how she wanted to live and work. And that's when it became time to reconceive her strategic plan. Strategy is what you build once your foundation is clear. It's the bridge between what matters to you and how you move forward in the real world. Without the foundation, strategy feels rigid or depleting. With it, strategy becomes supportive and energizing. So let's go back to Molly. For her, that meant designing a plan around writing fiction, not someday, now. So her strategy focused on finding steady work that paid the bills without draining her creative energy. She didn't need her day job to be the dream. She just needed it to support the dream. But the plan didn't stop there. Strategically, Molly decided that her primary job outside of paid work was to write consistently. She set out to finish a full draft, and once she had something complete, she would share it with a small group of trusted readers and revise based on their feedback. From there, the strategy expanded. If the manuscript felt like it was strong enough, then she would begin researching publishing agents. And if that route didn't open up, she would explore doing self publishing as a viable next step. So the point wasn't to force one outcome, it was to keep moving forward in a way that aligned with her values and long term vision. So, this is what strategy does at its best. It helps you use your resources wisely, your time, your energy, your money, your relationships. It clarifies what deserves your focus and what doesn't. It also gives you permission to make choices that might not impress anyone else, but make sense for you. Once Molly had that strategic roadmap, the next step was obvious. Tactics. Tactics are where things get concrete. This is where you break that bigger plan into very small, manageable action steps. One of the most common mistakes I see is people jumping straight into tactics without understanding the bigger picture. When there's no foundation, tactics turn into busy work. You move, but you don't feel grounded. It's why so many people bounce from role to role without ever feeling settled. There's no anchor. So let's go back to Molly once more. Once Molly course corrected, she could finally get specific using her strategic plan. She knew her best writing time was in the morning after a good night's sleep. So she looked for jobs close to home to avoid long commutes, and she wanted work that started in early to mid afternoon and wrapped by early evening so she could protect her creative time. She also got clear on the numbers. She figured out what she needed to earn each month and set a minimum hourly rate for a manageable work week. That clarity shaped every decision that she made. And she wasn't wasting time chasing things that ultimately wouldn't allow her to pay her bills or give her time to write. So those next steps were simple and super, super focused. She reached out to people that she knew and asked for help. She set up alerts on job boards and she asked around locally. Within a few weeks, she actually found a job that met her criteria, not because she hustled harder, but because her choices were aligned. Okay, bottom line, question isn't what your next move should be. It's why that move matters to you. When you start there, strategy stops feeling like pressure and tactics stop feeling like busy work. You're no longer saying yes out of habit or people pleasing. You're choosing a direction that you can actually stay with even when the path gets hard or unclear. That's what gives a career plan staying power. Okay, before you go, if you want more support to stay motivated, to feel less alone, and move through your career transition with strategy and lots of love, come join my Substack community. Paid members get exclusive journal prompts, guided meditations, live workshops, and a community of ambitious, purpose driven professionals. You can sign up at moonshot.mentor.substack.com. And a very big thank you to Amanda Kenny for the social media strategy and the editing and all of her expertise, and to Lauren Deacon, who manages the Moonshot Mentor brand. So very thankful for both of them. And most of all, thank you for spending time with me today. Time is a precious, precious commodity, and I so appreciate you being here. So until next week, keep going after your moonshot.